Hold all, keep 'em by it. Shawnee boy here. So to continue on from the last video that I did, and before I start, my apologies, I look back on it and I look like Suggs on amphetamines, you know. But it was the first one I did, you know, and I just wanted to get that idea out there. So, you know, please give me a little bit of leeway on that one. But this one, you know, this one is going to hopefully be a bit more relaxed. So, as I said in the last video, I'm trying to promote something called Muscular Socialism, which is based on 2 books, which is the Meditations by Marcus Aurelius and The Ragged Trousered Philanthropist. Try saying that after a bit of ketamine down your K-hole. The Ragged Trousered Philanthropist by Robert Tressel, aka Robert Noonan. So it's based on those 2 books. So I think this particular video, I'm going to do the muscular part of it, of the Muscular Socialism, and the muscular part is handled by Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, 121 to 180 AD. Just off the top of my head, you know. Not that I looked at Wikipedia just before I sat down here, but. Yeah, so he's a Roman emperor, so from the left, not a particularly sympathetic character, you know, spending most of his days, you know, assaulting barbarians of all types, throwing people to the lions, you know, all that kind of caper. But while he was doing all that, and he was, you know, seen as one of the, you know, the good emperors, him, Trajan and Hadrian, I think it was. But when he wasn't doing that, he was actually, you know, in his evenings when he, you know, didn't sit down and you know, watch Netflix. He was putting his thoughts down on a piece of paper, and he was trying to be good. Can you believe that? I mean, he's one of the most powerful men that ever lived, and his main focus was being good. And when someone gave me this book, I couldn't believe it. You know, I said, "Oh, these are the thoughts of a Roman emperor." I goes, "Well," I threw it back. I goes, "Well, you know, I'm not really interested. Why? You know, what are they going to tell me? You know, how to be successful? Get a load of legions. You know, get a few armored elephants or." A compound bow. I'm not, you know, that's not my thing, you know. But then I said, no, you need to read it. So I read it, and formidable, très formidable. So, as far as the muscular side of it, it is completely underpinned by the thoughts of this man 1900 years ago. I mean, can you believe it? I mean, and this is what it shows you, things are eternal. We keep on thinking that we've, you know, reinvented the wheel, you know, every generation thinks they've done it completely differently. And yet there are some eternal aspects of human nature, and Stoicism, which is what Marcus Aurelius's philosophy is basically about human nature. And the first thing that Marcus Aurelius dwells on is he says you need to control the controllables. You know, basically life throws you lots of rubbish. You know, you're not tall enough, you're disabled, you're poor, whatever it is. It throws you these things, and Marcus Aurelius says, basically shit happens and you've got to deal with it. You know, you've got to make the best of it. Now, of course, people on the left going, oh, we don't really need to hear all this crap, pull you up by your bootstraps kind of nonsense. That doesn't work. But it does, actually. And the funny thing about it is the people who really appreciate this more than anybody else are people who from the background I come from. You know, a working class background or people from poor backgrounds, because they understand that they're in a hole. You know, there's this kind of misconception that working class people or poor people have no idea of the crap they're in. You know, hence this crazy Brexit debate. You know, they you know, if they knew more, you know, then they wouldn't have. They know everything. You know, there's that line from, you know, from Orwell's, you know, Road to Wigan Pier, when he's looking out the window and he sees this woman cleaning her doorstep. You know. And he looks in, I mean, must have flipping great eyesight to be quite truthful. But anyway, it's a kind of a literary thing. But he looks in this woman's eyes and she knows that she's got a shit life, you know. And people know that they've got these awful lives. And what they want is a ladder out of this life. You know, or they want to make their circumstances better. And they love structure. You know, so when middle class people mainly turn around and say, oh, they want to judge and whatever, you're not doing anyone any favours. And the funny thing is, when we look at the lives of middle class lefties, they're all married. They've all got property. They've all got plan A, B, C, and D. You know, if a hurricane hits, you know, they've got the ability to, you know, to work that out. These are not options for poor people. You know, and so more than anything, working class people love structure. So this is the first thing that Marcus Aurelius talks about, which really hit home with me, you know, is the fact is that you look at your situation, you say, right, how am I going to deal with this? Okay. The second thing that he says is that if something bad does happen to you, you know, let's suppose you've, someone's insulted you, or you've got yourself in a particular situation, or whatever it is, you have to look to yourself first. You know, you have to look to yourself first, which is kind of an extension of the first thing. In a strange way of like, the working classes, everyone's been complaining about the last 40 years, and fair enough, no doubt about it. But the problem is that we let that happen. You know, I'm a member of Generation X, and we had a choice, you know, but we bought the council houses, and we didn't join unions, and we let, you know, Margaret Thatcher mutate into Tony Blair. I mean, I campaigned for Tony flipping Blair. You know, and then half an hour after we got elected, I went, well, what fucking done? It's Margaret Thatcher. I mean, she even said herself, Margaret Thatcher said her greatest achievement was Tony Blair. So, you know, boom. And it was my generation who caused this. So when we go around complaining and pointing fingers, the buck's got to come back here. And that's what Marcus Aurelius says. We need to look to ourselves first, rather than deflecting all this nonsense to everybody else. We have to say to ourselves, well, how have I contributed to this? And, you know, and in that way, in that harsh analysis of our own actions, we can maybe do something about it, like rejoin unions, you know, get different governments in, be a bit more proactive. Don't leave it to somebody else. If you leave it to somebody else, don't be surprised if they turn around and they take your house off you. Do you know what I mean? I mean, this is what it is. I mean, that's what, a little aside here, but that's the thing here, is there's the employer. Okay, he's always been there, and he keeps doing that, and our union pushes back, you know, because everybody wants equilibrium. So, you know, it's a bit Hegelian, you know, thesis, antithesis, synthesis, you know. So so that's it. And the third thing is something called the obstacle. He talks about the obstacle is the way, and again, you know, it's about the fact that we have to, in a strange way, seek out obstacles. Very much a variation of what Jordan Peterson, you know, he sort of says you should try and lift a weight that's just, you can just about carry. I mean, again, you know, I mean, Jordan Peterson really is Marcus Aurelius without a toga, you know, and unlimited power, you know. And I don't understand. I don't understand why left have got such animus. Why they give him so much shit? You know, got such animus against Jordan Peterson. I mean, at the end of the day, he's just basically trying to help people. And he's got really good advice. Economically, I don't agree with a flipping word he says. I mean, he's all free market, he's all Hayek, it's all trickle down. Great. But the man is a classical liberal, you know. I mean, I don't understand. Jordan Peterson. It's crazy, man. I mean, he's just trying to help people, and he does give fantastic advice. And one of these advices is about the obstacle. Now, of course, the obstacle is that, you know, if I went into a working class area and said, oh my God, look at all these obstacles you got. You're so lucky. My God, look at that. You can't pay the rent and you can't put the heating on. And I mean, like Liz Truss is Santa Claus, isn't she? I mean, you know, I'd get a smack straight in my mouth and I would deserve it. But that's not what an obstacle is. You know, and the actual obstacle is, yes, Liz Truss has pooed on our head from an enormous height. What do we do? And what we do is shoulder against the wheel, unions, always unions, band together, look at the past, say, right, we have to be aware of exactly how this crony capitalism works. We need better wages, better work conditions. We need to nationalize energy. We have to demand things. That's how you deal with your obstacle, or in your own private life. You know, things aren't working out. Happens to me, you know, I don't want to bore you with, everyone's got their panic attack story, but I mean, I had mine where there was no vocabulary for it. But, you know, in the end, I worked out, you have to walk towards the bullets. It's a fucking pain in the arse. And when people say that to you, it's like, well, but you do. And the obstacle is, again, is part of this Marcus Aurelius meditations thing. So, control the controllables. It is down to you, you know, and look for that obstacle. This underpins these meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And even though he was a Roman emperor and was probably slaughtered hundreds and thousands of people in his day job, at night, you know, I think he was, you know, he had a lot to say, especially you know, how it's so relevant today. So that's my muscular part of it, which I think has enormous relevance, because I do think that muscular socialism is the future. I will be lauded, you know, I will be the Marx of the 22nd century, You know, it won't only be Buck Rogers out there. It'll be, you know, there'll be pictures of me all over the fucking place, all looking like this. I don't think so. But yeah, but that's a muscular part of it. And, you know, we'll talk about the socialism next week. So anyway, it's a gorgeous day out there. So I hope you're having it. Anyway, bye.